Okay, just 9 persons have joined it. Oh, 39. Okay, great. Good afternoon. Let me turn on my video so that you guys can see me. Give me a sec. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My video is not coming up. But good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rita.
What?
I'm reaching that. Okay, yeah, my video is on great. Good
Yeah, no,
afternoon once again. My name is Rita. My name is Rita Amorichinda. I'm a
Hi, good
member
afternoon.
of the Technology Committee of the SLP, and I'm standing in on behalf of Mr. Fernandez,
yeah, I can't get you.
who happens, Marcus, who happens to be. Mr. Marvel, could you mute your mic, please? Great. Okay. So I'm standing on behalf of Mr. Fernandez. I would like to welcome everyone to today's session where we'll be discussing, give me a sec, where we'll be discussing law in the cloud for today, which is um, Mr. Olajide. I want to get the name right. So it's Mr. Olajide Olatunbosun. Bosun, sorry, Olatunbosun. Mr. Olajide, apologies if I murdered your surname. But he's the head of data governance, architecture, and business analysis at Access Bank. And just like we usually do during our sessions, this is just to give members and participants insight into how the tech world is, especially because the conversation in relation to law and tech has evolved from just using easygoing tech tools to using or integrating artificial intelligence, exploring Web3, data protection, cybersecurity, and the rest of them. Just before Mr. Olajide comments, I'd like to inform members that for attendance purpose, we'll be sharing the link for your CBT, that's to get your CLE points. Please do not share the link outside this session as the link is going to expire immediately after the session. So 5 minutes before the session or 20 minutes before the session closes, we're going to share the link. So on behalf of the tech committee and on behalf of the chairman, Mr. Fernandez, I welcome you to today's tech series, and I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Olajide to commence his presentation. If you have questions in between his presentation, please share it on the comments section and I'll read it out after his presentation. Mr. Olajide, over to you. You have 30 minutes, please.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Gita, for its introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you confirm if I'm audible, please?
Yes, you are audible. You're audible. Mr. Marvel, please, could you just mute your mic a bit so that the speaker will not be interrupted? Thank you so much for cooperating. Mr. Olajide, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. Can you please confirm as well if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so I'll just do a brief of introduction once again. My name is Olajide Olatunbosun. I'm currently here at the data governance team at Access Bank. Yes.
We can hear you, Mr. Olajide.
Of governance, data governance at Access Bank. So Apologies, for a second. Okay, so let me share my screen again. I was thrown out. Okay. All right, so the ask this afternoon is to talk about um, law in the cloud. How can we manage clients' files online? How can we manage our calendars and at the same time be compliant? So I'll be giving us different options, telling us how to make certain choices. As well, I'll be walking us through about 2 to 3 use cases on how we can benefit on the cloud as things stands today. So so this is the agenda. Basically, I'm touching on about 5 or 6 things today. So let me introduce us to the cloud. So I'm sure that everybody on this call have heard at a point in time about cloud. You know, everybody's talking about cloud. And there are a couple of misconceptions out there. So I will try to demystify what cloud is. Cloud is different from what is in the sky. Cloud refers to series of computer systems, servers that they store, they manage, and they process data. So instead of doing it on your personal system, some people have invested millions of dollars to have servers in place. All you do is to pay a token and you can access your files on the server. Just think of cloud as a digital office where you can access your files anytime, anywhere in the world. All you need is internet. So today, Mr. Gabriel can leave his house and set out for the office without taking anything but his mobile device and internet. You get to the office, every of your files are there for you on the cloud. So that is what the cloud is about. And so we have a lot of vendors in the cloud space that have invested so much. And today, the main problem of the data centers are three main problems. They have the power problem. They need to generate a whole lot of power to sustain it because it has to be on 24/7. There are people all over the world accessing these servers at the same time and all time, so they have to be on. There is huge demand for cooling because if you have been to a server room before, a typical one, it is so hot, so it requires a lot of cooling to bring it down. Then there's network, every investment on network. So these three things are the main pain points of data center owners. So the next question is it safe to have my data in the cloud? So this is the main concern a lot of people are having. Even in the bank today, there are a lot of skepticism as to what kind of data should be put in the cloud. Is it safe? Is it not safe? But I'll tell you today, it is safe if properly used, right? So then today, like I mentioned, there are lots of vendors in the cloud space. There are things you need to watch out for before you choose an option. Watch out for encryption, things like 2FA, that is two-factor authentication, such that before you log in, it goes to one device, then a second person authorizes it. Watch out for vendors that have audit trails and they have backups in place. What can you do, in the cloud? Today, right, if you want to build an app, you can actually build an app locally and have the cloud store it for you. Then it has even gone a notch higher where both the app design and the storage can be totally outsourced to the cloud. So we have, vendors today that build applications that all you and I need to do today is just to subscribe to such services. So they call them either software as a service, a platform as a service, or application as a service. So the level of advancement is so high that you cannot even afford to blink, and it's important for us to know what is happening in our around us. I remember those days where I have an uncle, is a lawyer as well. So the pain point he had 25 years ago is not the same pinpoint that we have today. So the terrains are different, the need, the ask are different. 25 years ago, you probably want to recruit a lawyer that can type on the typewriter, right? But today, it's a given. In fact, nobody would even ask you during the interview session that, are you literate? It is an expectation. It's now a basic thing. So now we are talking, it's now the world of AI. It's the world of cloud. We need to be aware. We need to be ready to be onboarded. If not, we would be left behind. So as lawyers, we can do a whole lot. But for this session, I would limit it to three things basically: file management, calendar management. Then I would bring our awareness to the compliance, the discussions around cloud for compliance sake. So that's that. Um, I've spoken about this, is to tell you the robustness, things that happen in the cloud. I would move fast. This is an interesting statistics. The rate at which the whole world is moving, the world is moving fast. So we cannot afford to be left behind. So today, over 86% of companies now use public cloud for services ranging from email to file management, then 74% are using private cloud. So public cloud is different from public cloud based on how it is being hosted and the use cases, and it is also interesting to say that, the global expenditure on cloud services is around 1 trillion US dollar. And in 6 months' time, at the current alarming growth rates, don't be surprised if this figure multiplied by 0.5 or by 2. That's to show you the based on the rate of adoption. So my plea is, let's have a mindset shift. Let's be ready to take up on this and move so that we can be ahead of others. So before we adopt it, it would be nice to discuss the ethical usage. What are those things you should be aware of? You need to be careful. Not everything that glitters is gold. Don't say because you say free tool, you just say, wow, beautiful, an opportunity. There are certain due diligence that we need to also carry out. The ethical uses, of the cloud. One, confidentiality. As a lawyer, your business is around trust. The client trusts you. That is why he or she has approached you. So similarly, you need to make sure that the client's information and files are trusted. So any vendor of choice, any tool of choice, ensure that there's confidentiality. Sensitive client data is safe. There's end-to-end encryption. Nobody is spying on you. Then informed consent, right? This is one area a lot of people are not compliant on. In your contract or agreements, you need to state it there that some or parts of your data will be stored and managed in the cloud, right? Due diligence, of course. You don't just pick a vendor. Please, who is Marvel? Can you please mute? I'm getting a feedback from there. Thank you. So you carry out your due diligence as well. Who is this vendor? Is he GDPR, NDPR compliant? Does he have the ISO 2700, 27701 compliant? That is information security and privacy information management security. Have they implemented access control? Is my data safe with them? All of this are questions you need to ask, whether as an individual or as a small, chambers or firm that is about to adopt cloud for its operational activities. Where, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think you have an option but to go the cloud way. You can do hybrid such that you have some files on-prem, but without cloud, you are totally missing out on a lot of things. So even for AI, for example, for you to enjoy those models, you need There's easier and seamless integration when your file is in the cloud. So I'll move on. So the same way I've spoken about the ethical use, I'll need to also touch on unethical uses as well, things we also need to avoid. Please do not use personal cloud for clients, right? It's not, just get an approved or use what your firm has approved. Don't share credentials. Just like they will tell you today, your passwords should not be shared you know um don't avoid saving documents in plain text. Make it difficult for gamers or hackers to access it. Put in some level of security, encrypt it, put some password in it. Then do not ignore updates or patches. So what these vendors have done is they also have their R&D team. They are way up there ahead of the hackers. So periodically they release patches. So you need to be on top, get those patches and apply them as soon as possible so that you are not living a different world from the hackers. So they don't overpower you. It's very important. So, speaking about cloud, I've introduced you to cloud, spoken about the ethical use, best practices. So just move on to file management, right? So what is cloud file management? In the traditional legal practice, right, you will see lots of files, physical files. When it comes to retrieval, it becomes an issue. So if there is fire, if there is water, and what have you, some files, some records are lost forever and becomes an issue. Thank God at a point in time we have systems that we can save them in. But now, guess what? You have the cloud to take advantage of. And cloud storage is relatively cheap. It's not as expensive, as it is cheap. So we can afford to move our files there. I have a slide that shows you the cost and how we can take advantage of that. So basically, cloud file management speaks to how we can leverage the cloud for our file management, to store and to carry remote works. I remember before COVID, the number of companies that were working remotely, in the world were, of course, limited. But now, remote work is now a thing that, it has come to stay. And without cloud services, it would have been tough because how can Gabriel and I collaborate? How can Friday and I collaborate? It's going to be tough. But cloud services have made these things happen seamlessly. So the benefits I've spoken about earlier, I will still mention some of them. Accessibility, collaboration. Today, I can call up a Word document and give access to my entire team. So we can access the same document at the same time and we can update seamlessly. Whether you are in Canada, you are in Lagos or in Abuja, that is the power of cloud file management. If it was before, you have to physically move the file from point A to point B, you know, wasting of time and money and what have you. But now you know, then there is security as well, like an encrypts. There are all forms of encryption. Interestingly, there are version controls. You can imagine what happens when, you're working, you didn't say there are unsafe changes. You need to go back. It becomes an issue. So all of these services come in handy and seamless. And then talking of best practices too, as a firm, whether you're about to adopt it or you've adopted it, you need to have certain standards, right? So I'm on the right side of the slide, right? So you need to agree on how files will be saved. Do you want to have, litigation files separate from contracts, or do you want to have it such that you create in a year, you have the months, or so you have to have an agreed, structure that is known across the enterprise. So it's not as if, Officer A doesn't, is doing something contrary, and when it's time to retrieve, it becomes an issue. Then also have your, naming conventions too. Do you want to have, the full dates or months, the client name, the kind of client he is? So when you have all of these things, data retrieval and interactions and collaborations will be as seamless as possible. Always set permissions. Identify the staff. that would have read-only access, identify the staff that will have admin access, so that somebody will not ignorantly overwrite what has been done, and it's going to be a challenge. I mentioned encryption. I spoke about auditing as well. Then one important thing I would like to mention as well is, even though your files are in the cloud, always ensure to have a local backup copy, right? In case you have vendor issues or you have internet issues, so you are not totally stranded, right? You can quickly visit your local copy so that you can be able to function. So next is I I have some options for you here. These are top 10 free online family management system tools. They have different strengths. Some is speed, some is the amount of free space you get when you sign up, some is the ease of integration, some is the strength, right? So privacy settings as well. There are some of these tools that it is in their privacy clause, excuse me, that they would scan through your files. Some do not scan through. So it's important to understand, what these tools have, what offerings they have, and what privacy, clauses. I know these days people don't even bother to go through those terms and conditions. It's lengthy. So here I have Google Drive, very popular. He has his at when you upon signing up you get 15 GB. But the thing about this 15 GB is that it's for all your Google accounts, whether it's your Gmail or everything Google. So this 15 GB is not only for Finder, it's for everything, right? So it's easy. There's a seamless collaboration across all your Google apps. There's the OneDrive too, that's Microsoft. It comes pre-installed on all your Microsoft devices because it's Microsoft. So here is a table. It has enough information for you to decide. I'm not going to recommend one, even though I have my preferences, and I would like not to be asked so that I don't get biased. So just look through. You can see the one, and my note there is that the choice is yours. What do you prioritize? Is it speed, security, collaboration, or free storage? So I'll move on. So now I want to walk you through some use cases, right? We know what cloud means. We know what file management speaks to. We understand that, okay, I have my file, I can collaborate, I can work seamlessly. But are you aware of certain things you stand to gain? So here I'm going to walk you through one in two use cases. So the first one is litigation scheduler. You can imagine a firm with over, like in my place, we have close to about 200 lawyers, right? And you can imagine 200 lawyers versus close to 60 million customers. So litigation comes left and right. You need a proper scheduler to manage it. So today, there is leveraging on the cloud. There is this scheduler that tells you the number of cases you have in the next 1 week, 2 weeks, and it gives you the full details in order for you to prepare, right? To prepare so you would never miss a case. As a matter of fact, it allows you enough time to prepare, right? Then there's easy collaboration. You can even, through the link, you can click on the case files and all related files, and it opens right there and there. So you can imagine such a comfort. So on top of that, we want to build AI on it. So let me tell you what this one also now, what it does is, for every case you have, it tries to predict what the outcome of the case will be. It leverages on the trends, it leverages on a lot of things, and we come with a recommendation and say there's a 30 below or less chance of us winning this case. I therefore recommend settlement. It will not just recommend, It will make recommendations as to how to put the strategy and likely amount to recommend, right? It even looks through your cases and tells you the weak points in your case. You can imagine having this level of smartness ahead of your, your appearances in court. So this is just a use case amongst others that we can leverage on. One, it automatically informs you ahead of time with several reminders as to when your next court cases are or your meetings with clients are. At the same time, it gives you an edge by letting you know that this case is not looking good. Let's quickly opt for settlements. And if you have this information ahead of time, you have an edge over your other colleagues. So I'll move on. So now, we've spoken about file management. I know time is not to our advantage. I'll quickly move to calendar management. So it's such a challenge, juggling family, life, clients. We can forget things. There can be mix-ups here and there. And you can imagine how bad it will be if you miss a court case. You know how the clients would feel, and some of them have higher impacts. So you don't want to. So what cloud calendars do for you is it helps you to plan better and sends you enough notifications ahead of time. So you can access schedules from anywhere in the world. You can share your calendars. For example, I can share my calendar with Gita to say, my calendar for the next 1 week, please handle. I can synchronize, set reminders for court filings and what have you. So it even brings about transparency and accountability. So what are the best practices? I will recommend one, you separate your personal calendar from court calendars and client calendars. you know, um, there should be asset controls because I want to share my calendar with my colleague, but I don't want you to have the right to alter my calendar. You know, um, Enable multiple reminders. You get a reminder in 3 days, another one in 2 weeks, 2 days, so that you don't forget. You document your changes and what have you. I will not dwell too much on all of this because of time. Compliance tips. Be cautious with sharing setting so that you don't lose your calendar. And please do not enter the client's full details in your calendar. So there's a way you just come with an initial, so that it is not clear to everybody. You also need to protect, those clients of yours. Ensure that the tool of use is either NDPA or GDPR compliant. Then try to back up your calendar too periodically, so that you are not, it will not be a major setback when you lose or you don't cannot access your calendar. So several use cases. You can use your online calendars to coordinate your court dates. You can even appointment scheduling, and task management. I want to move fast because of time. So just like I did for file management too, these are top 10 global calendar schedulers related to law. There are lots of free ones, but I brought this out because these are globally accepted legal calendar schedulers, because you get to have some benefits using this tool over the regular free online calendars. And there also you have their benefits, their weaknesses, their strengths. I know that today, calendar management is a big task. So you can imagine if you can take that worry off your head, let the system worry about this. So I also have a use case for you about what to stand to gain when you go the cloud way. You can have the calendar, review your entire work schedule, and readjust the schedule in such a way that it will give you better productivity. That's interesting, right? So he knows high focus task. He knows your deep work hours. But he knows the low priority meetings. It will readjust and make recommendations that Based on what I've seen, this is how I think your week should go, right? Then even there's the automated meeting scheduler that looks at the entire term, looks at our calendar and proposes meeting time. There are times when there are lots of back and forth. Their team, where can we meet? I will not be chanced. Back and forth. We lose days, at times weeks, trying to agree on a common meeting time. But guess what? You have all of this sorted. It will look at all our calendars, make recommendations, nobody can even argue, right? And one of the things it also does is it takes into cognizance the time zones. So whether you are in Canada, US +6, Ghana +1, everything is factored in, and we have a common, then it can also do auto meeting agendas. It will generate agendas based on the topics in the emails, the titles. Life is good and seamless. You can imagine the kind of headache this would have taken off us. And there are a whole lot of more use cases, that we can leverage on when we go the cloud way. So then I just want to speak briefly about compliance, right? I am quite passionate about this part because I don't want people falling into the wrong trap. So we need to be careful as well, right? So when we say compliance, what are we talking about? Even though we want to go the online way, we need to ensure that relevant laws, regulations, and industry standards are adhered to. All of these vendors too, not all of them have, going to have the right standards in place. So it is in your own best interest to do your due diligence, ensure that there's data privacy in place, security. The one other thing people don't even bother to check is what is the data retention policy of those vendors. Some have 7-year retention because they want to clean their infrastructure. They want to flush data so that they can accommodate more customers. So you need to find out what their retention policy is. Will I be notified 6 months, 1 year before? Or will you just advise me when you have truncated my data sets? Then also look at the industry in which they are playing. Some data centers have strength in certain segments. So find out. I mentioned the residency, find out the encryption standards, retention policy, third party the certifications, NDPR, CCPA, 2771001, and all of that. So I also have some top compliance tools too that have high compliance. Some of these names came out the first, second, and third time. That could be a pointer as to which way to go. Then, as an organization, right, maybe a small team, a small law firm, what do I want to do? It's also good to have your policy and SOPs, on adoption of the tool. Use a secure file sharing policy, conduct regular compliance audits, keep a register of third-party, processors, and of course, have regular trainings. It's important to, train your staff. There's this saying that it takes someone to hear something 5 to 6 times for it to stick, right? So it's not never too much to invest into, training of staff and, what have you. So my final slide, my key takeaway, cloud tools are secure, they're scalable, they're affordable. You can use free tools to improve on legal workflow, adopt best practices for ethics and compliance. And finally, do not forget, it's a global village. The legal practice is going global. Don't be left behind. Thank you so much, everybody. That's for me. So, hello, guitar.
I'm here. Thank you so much, Mr. Olajide. Insightful lecture that you just gave us. I can't find any question at the moment in the comment section. But if anybody has a question, please, you have just 30 seconds to ask your question so that Mr. Olajide can shed more light. But before anybody does that, I don't know if Mr. Olajide can highlight more on um, bias and regulatory compliance in relation to the topic, which is on law and class. How do we deal with, especially now that you're dealing with AI generated work, how can lawyers um, maneuver all of these barriers that we may encounter in future? That's my question to you. I see a question from the participant. Please, can the person that has a mic on, can you mute yourself? Thank you. Mr. Olajide, did you get my question?
No, can you please go? I didn't get that, please.
Oh, good. There's someone in the background.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's so much background noise.
Hold on, let me see who the person. I can't see who the person is, so we can put them on. Yeah. Please, the person that has a mic on, can you turn it off?
The participant that has their mic on is most likely not paying attention. Hence, maybe the admin can just mute all mics.
Okay, so thank you. I was saying that my question is with regards to compliance and due diligence, especially because of how we're dealing with emerging technologies like AI. How can we um, maneuver all of this so that we are not held liable for any breach that may occur as a result of trying to adapt or use these technologies that you had recommended, especially the free ones that you recommended for us. Because if you, I don't know if you're following conversations around terms of use that are currently being updated, a lot of these platforms are incorporating um, unauthorized AI training for the use of their platform. So how do we maneuver all of these things to ensure that we are in compliance with what is provided within our own jurisdiction? Mr. Olajide?
Yes, that's noted. I want to find out if there are other questions so that I can take them one the questions and speak to them at once.
Okay, I see a question from Ishaya Daniel. He says, hold on, let me just read it.
Can I say something? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, I can hear you.
Yeah, this is Romeo. Thank you for this wonderful lecture. It's quite interesting and educative. Now, you talk of uploading files to the iCloud. I want to ask, some of our files are bulky. How do we actually upload? Are we scanning? And what time would it take time to scan in order to upload? Or are there other easier ways to get them uploaded? And that is one. Two, sir, if can you be of help to render these services? Probably in our law firm, we want to engage you. Can you come and set it up for us? Thank you very much. Two questions.
Okay, so let me go back to. So first thing I want to answer, are there any other hands up so that or should I just speak to these two?
Yes, I have a question. Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
Thank you for the well delivered paper. And my question borders on how to protect our personal, not just personal data generally. You talked about us not using plain text that we should encrypt our, yes, we should use encryption. So I want to ask, how do I do that when I'm uploading the document in the cloud? I think you say that in respect of protecting our data. So how do I go about that? Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I think I will speak to Gita first. So Gita, there are basically different types of bias, right? There's a bias that happen for AI when you are training that data, right? So there are things you need to do to avoid the bias at that point. There's the human bias as well, where at times it's deliberate or it's due to poor, understanding or knowledge of the data scientist. So what do we need to do? Like I mentioned earlier, we need to do due diligence. And secondly is we need to take a good look at the data itself to ensure that it is fit for purpose and it is, it is fit to be trained. Then another thing is it's good to also engage professionals, right? So in your firm, if you have your IT guys, it is not enough to engage IT guys. So those look for your security team within the IT department, or look for the data scientists or data governance people. These people would help you analyze that situation as is. Then most of the LLMs now, LLMs refer to ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and Gemini now. When you ask them questions, now go and check, you will see a drop down. It will show thinking. So that thinking is, for you to see how it has processed your question, the thought that went through, and how it has arrived at the answer. So you cannot take AI for it, right? You can't take a response from it and consume it without carrying out your, extra level of, validation or confirmation. Because what AI also does is it's consuming things on the internet, but it is wise enough to generate its own content from what it has consumed. So if it has consumed bad or poor data, the inferences that it will make will be from such bad data. So we cannot close our eyes and say, okay, this is from AI. And also, even you lawyers, there's a whole, what the future holds for you guys is even interesting. In the days of deepfake, when you'll be in court and the video evidence that you would see shows that your client was there physically and committed the crime. But in real life, the client might be sleeping at home. So interesting days ahead, but we need to understand, how to navigate these muddy waters. It's a tough one. And, then to the second question, right? If you go back to the slide here, right? I say that if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth column there shows speed. So now your speed, your own internet ISP you are using, the speed of the ISP, one matters, right? Do they offer 5G internet speed? Is it 4G? Is it even 3G? Is it even Edge? So that speed plus the tool of choice too, because they are faster than themselves. So the things that can slow you down is a function of your ISP and the online tool of choice, right? So what you can do at times is maybe some of these ISPs too, they have different speed at different times of the day. You want to break down the files into multiple smaller files. You upload them differently, then couple them back when they get to the cloud. It depends, but it's the first thing you want to do is probably type speed.com. Speed.com will tell you the current speed of your ISP. So you know whether or not to try at that point, or if you want to, or if the problem is coming from your service provider. Then the second question, I think I will just go to my last slide. You can pick my WhatsApp number from there, and you can reach out or send me an email. Of course, we can discuss. Then to the third question, you ask how we can protect our data. So the thing is, today, most of the email services, I know Outlook for one, before you send out an email, you have 4 options. This email, is it confidential? Is it public? Is it internal? Even your files, your normal Microsoft Word files today, you can set them to be internal, public, classified. And when that is done, if a file is marked internal or classified, nobody can send that file as an attachment outside until the person goes back to change, right? Then also in your normal Microsoft documents, if you go click on file, there's the encryption options there for you to choose from, so then there's even an advanced feature that you can do such that files will expire automatically from wherever it is they have. And some features do not allow people to forward or to send files that they are not meant to forward. So there are a lot of these features here and there, but it depends on the tool that you're currently using. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Olajide. I think we still have about 5 minutes. Most of the questions I'm seeing here, I don't know if I should read them out and then just give a summary of all of them. So the
Okay.
first one is, in light of the brute force hacking techniques used by modern hackers, shouldn't two-factor authorization be the primary consideration for choosing a cloud service in the modern age? Then there is a request for your presentation. Then somebody said, how can one get better and detailed training in this area? And then there's a question as to whether there are clouds that can work without the internet in some parts of Nigeria.
Lisa, can I
But yeah,
take those ones first? Can I just take those ones first? Then
yes,
you
please,
will
you
take
can.
okay. So
Yes.
first question is why 2FA only? If I'm right. So now we even have MFA. We have multi-factor, right? We have AES 256. We have DES. So what the vendors do today, most times, is you have the option of choosing, right? Some of them have a lot that they like options you can subscribe to. But of course, we've moved past, in fact, there's what they call zero knowledge, right? As a way of verifying that you are the true owner of the file you're trying to access. So there's a wide, range of options. Can you access cloud without internet? The answer is no, you cannot access public cloud without internet. But yes, you can access private cloud without internet. But for private cloud, you have to be within the network. So for example, if okay, Fatima, can you please mute? If Rita and Co has a private cloud, anybody within Rita and Co enterprise can access the private cloud without internet, but you have to be within the premises. Before public cloud, internet is needed. So then there's a question around trainings. Yes, there's a whole lot of trainings available, but you can reach out. It depends on your proficiency level or what is of interest to you. You can get some advice on how to, move around it. But there are lots of them out there. A lot are free. Even YouTube too can help. A lot of recorded webinars that we can take advantage of. But what we should not be accused of is being ignorant. Thank you. Other questions, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Olajide. So someone has a comment and he says, deepfakes and Gen AI are a serious challenge to truth finding to the judges, to us lawyers. New rules of admissibility has to be set up and more education on the tech industry taken by lawyers. We need more education on tech, and I do agree. I can't see any other question. Okay, yeah, so it says, shouldn't there be a trade-off between what's uploaded online and what to keep hard copy? With my experience, no data is safe online, which might come from third parties other than yours. So I think that's the last question we'll take before we round up for today. Mr. Olajide, over to you, please.
Okay, so the first question, yes, like I mentioned it earlier. I spoke about deepfake. So today, let me tell you a story. There are some people, once you can read out certain words, there are about 26 words like that. If you can read them out and they have it on tape, there is no single word in the world that they cannot mimic your voice to produce. So in these days of AI and Gen AI, evidences are even top to prove that they are authentic, right? So it's a tough one. I know I mentioned earlier where there's alibi, you are there, video shows you are elsewhere. It's a tough one, and that's why the regulations here and there every single day they are coming up with frameworks to tighten this space to ensure that we are safe. But it's a tough one, Then the second question is, do I agree that cloud is safe? 100%. Depends on the vendor you have subscribed to. It is absolutely safe. Your files are not different from what they are safe except you make modifications to them. So and like I mentioned, please be wary of the vendor that you are subscribing to. So there's absolutely nothing wrong, especially when the vendor is such that you've done the proper due diligence and is fit for purpose. I know time might not permit, but if Rita can forward some of the questions to me, I can reply back and get back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olajide, and thank you to all the participants. Please don't forget to fill the form in the comment section so you get your CDP CLE points. But on behalf of the tech committee, I'd like to say a big thank you to our speaker and resource person, Mr. Olajide, for sharing his knowledge with us. There's a request for your slides. So for those who registered, you will get the slides after the presentation. You can also watch a rerun of this session on our YouTube channel. But that's it from me and from my end. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and see you at the next tech webinar. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to speak to
Thank you
everybody
so
here.
much.
Have a
Yeah,
beautiful
thank you, Mr.
day.
Olajide. Yeah,
Thank
have a
you.
good afternoon, everyone. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah,